talk a bit about what the recipe development or whatever ends up looking like, because you are catering to people who don't have access to all the same things that you would in South Florida.
Right.
So
okay.
how does that affect things when you're doing recipes, whether for the cookbook or for the website?
Okay, so I start with the flavor that I want. And that's where I started, like, okay, I'm going to get from here to there. But I usually write a story about why this food is important to me. So this is, like, the frita starts with, I'm a child, and I'm in Havana, and I'm with my mother, and I'm young, and everything's fine, you know? Mm-hmm. So that's what the frita, that's the representation. So when I develop a recipe, there's the story behind it. And for me, that's the most important. And then I think, well, do people really want to read through the story? But that's the thing that's touching nerves, is the story. So I tell the story, this is what happened, or this is my, talking about like your grandfather. My grandmother would make a flan for her husband, my grandfather, who, you know, they were very old. This is in the early 1900s. Mm-hmm. And she made it in a carbon, you know, with the stove, whatever. You understand me? Okay. And so my mom says that flan was perfect, and she made one every single day. You know, not even like, there was no like turn to 350 and
around here,
right?
Yeah.
So she just made it in el carbon. Every single night. She's made the most beautiful desserts. So it became legendary. How do you people do this?
Yeah.
So that was my inspiration.
That's real cooking.
That's real cooking.
That's like why I have such
beyond.
a real connection to like wood fire cooking and coal cooking, because it's like it really imparts that like proper flavor. Back to what you were saying is connecting with the flavor and having a story behind it.
The story, yeah.
That's a big part of like the whole kind of the turning point for the restaurant was understanding that more and doing that more. So I think people do connect more than we like, because whether, you know, you say whether they want to know the story, they want to read it, or they want to hear it, like here they hear it and they eat it, and they're experiencing it while they're dining. They do want to be a part of it, you know. And I know we're always like apprehensive, but because, you know, it's like part of who we are, but it is good. It gets out there, and I don't know. I love it.
Truly.
Yeah.
So let me tell you that the most response and most mail that I get, you know, talk about Nick again, is usually from young people who you know, will like take a recipe and they'll make it and say, you don't understand. Abuela used to cook everything, and she passed, and then didn't leave. Her, you know, she just did it. Cocinaba de oído, you know. She just put whatever.
Well, that's how they
and
operate.
that's how you do it.
That's how they operate.
So, you know, then
I'm
when
trying to get them to put stuff on paper, and it's very difficult.
No, well, yeah, it's very hard. And when I started doing, you know, just cooking, I'm like, okay, this looks like about a quarter cup. I don't know, más o menos.
Right.
So you have to, people want like, and how long exactly? No, más o menos. Yeah. So that's how I cook. But anyway, young people were responding and writing to me and saying, you captured the flavor. I tried this recipe. And my Cuban husband, or my, you know, this, or my grandmother used to cook like this, and those are the stories that just knock me out.
It's amazing. Like, you see a lot of response from like Middle America?
Everywhere, yes,
amazing.
Yes.
That's cool.
So wherever Cubans end up, Missouri, even.
There you go.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
It's like the center.
Where was it? Louisiana? Yeah,
Louisiana.
yeah. Virginia. All those places. There's Cubans, you know, everywhere.
We're scattered. We're out there.
Yeah,
we're infiltrating there. Everywhere.
But I imagine even among non-Cubans, right? Because 13 years ago, we didn't have the same saturation of food and cooking websites. So
it wasn't as hip to be Cuban.
Well, but
13 years ago.
It wasn't even as hip to be writing about food online, period.
At all.
So I'm sure there were people who had no connection. They're like, oh, here's this new little cooking adventure I can go on with Marta.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is a whole other like layer of. That's one of the things that I think is so cool is that before it was really occurring to a whole lot of people who wrote about food professionally, you were online sort of like really cornering.
Oh, totally. Now, if you look at my photos from them, and I decided to keep them and not like bring them up to date. They're like yellow and grainy. Nobody cares. You know, nobody cares about that beautiful food shot. I mean, it's really fun to like on Instagram see perfect food, pero nobody cares. They just like, you got the taste right. And, you know, people are always telling me, it's like, oh, I got your cookbook, and it's all dirty now. I was like, yes,
Well, that means it's
that's
being
how
used.
it should be, right?
Right.
I mean, it's being used.
Yeah.
That's good.
So anyway,
So are we going to have a second book?
in my mind, well, I was like,